Resources. And I'm going to make sure that my screen is shared. Okay, happy AmeriCorps week, everybody. This is great. Sarah was just saying that everybody's killing it with the social media posts about AmeriCorps week. Continue that energy. This is really great. Welcome to our call. Like I said, we have a pretty robust agenda today. I'm going to give a handful of updates from the commission. Please feel free to stop me as you have questions. You don't have to wait until the end. We can take a couple as we go. We're going to do fiscal updates from Christina. Sarah is going to talk about AmeriCorps Week. Alex Vanek is going to talk about our alumni engagement and our volunteerism summit. And then if you have any questions, you can certainly ask them then. So these are all my commission updates. There's quite a few. I want to go through a staffing update. We've been talking about welcoming a new person to our team. The America Service Commission conference, which I sent information about. I just want to review that we have a state service plan real quick, and then it's coming for 25-28. There's a new AmeriCorps State National Income Disregard letter that I'll go over and I'll share with you. Just real quick, want to talk about term limits for AmeriCorps state members. There's a training waiver, and then different training opportunities and the executive order compliance. So a whole bunch of stuff for commission updates. First, I want to welcome our newest staff member, Erin Donovan, to our team. She's our newest program officer. We've been trying to hire this position for a bit since Kim Brown left and retired in November. So I'm super, very ecstatic to welcome Erin to our team. So I just want to pass it to her real quick to just introduce herself.
Yeah, I am so excited to be here online with all of you all. I was an AmeriCorps Vista in New Orleans with the New Orleans area Habitat for Humanity a decade ago. And that kind of started me on a whole decade of work in nonprofits. So this feels a little bit like coming home, and I'm excited to meet everyone and look forward to working with you all.
All right. Thank you, Erin. Lots of AmeriCorps alum on our team, so I think that's really great. So if you guys could just do your best to be welcoming and understanding and give Erin a little bit of grace as we transition the portfolio to her plate and she starts to learn all the ins and outs of what you guys do. Okay. This is just an overview of what's going to be happening over the next month or so. I've been trying my best, not doing it well, of supporting the programs that Kim had. So we're going to be moving some programs that Sasha and I were supporting over to Erin's portfolio. So your organization should be listed here. All the planning grants Alex Vanek still supports. So Sasha is going to continue to support Carroll County, William & Mary, City of Richmond, UVA, Blue Ridge Medical, and she has our AmeriCorps Vista portfolio. Erin is going to be supporting Aspire, the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research, Edifatoro, CASA, United Way, Henry County and Martinsville, International Rescue Committee, and Teach for America. So what's going to happen this week is I've scheduled some portfolio calls with the organizations that I was strictly working with, and Erin's going to join us on those calls, and we're going to have a check-in just as normal. But she, from that point, is going to be taking over the support. So she'll be your main point of contact. I'm obviously always here to support. And then any organizations that Sasha was working with, Erin is going to be shadowing and then taking over after March. So we're trying to do a clean transition and not just give Erin everything all at once. But we do want to kind of move it in that direction pretty quickly. So if you have any questions, you can still, feel free to email me. But Erin will be the point of contact for these organizations. Okay, I had sent out an email earlier this week, and I apologize that it wasn't sooner for the in-person gathering in Atlanta for America Service Commission's National Service Training. A lot of you have been to this conference in the past. I think, where was it last year? I forget where it was last year. It was fun, wherever it was. Christina, were you going to say where it was?
I think it was in Minneapolis.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. I've never been to Minneapolis. Anyway, so if you are still interested in using any of your funds for that training, we can potentially get you on a wait list. But it's pretty, it's pretty late now. But there's still an opportunity for you to go to the virtual one, which is April 29th through May 1st. And it still has an amazing array of training opportunities. I just copy and pasted a snippet of the tracks. So there's AmeriCorps Fiscal and Grant Management, Program Management, Community Building, Leadership, Development, Member Management Workshops, State Service Commission specific sessions, and then general volunteer engagement. So there's a lot of different tracks, and I would really recommend if you're an operational program going into next year to attend one of those trainings if you can. And then obviously contact your program officer and Christina if you want to do a budget modification or if you have money in any of those line items to attend. Okay, real quick, hopefully all of you are very aware that we have a state service plan. It has evolved to this amazing strategic plan over the past like 5 years. We're coming to the end of the current plan, and the team, Sarah and Annalise, Alex, have been working really, really hard with the Governor's Advisory Board, with Kathy, to plan for 25 through 28. I gave a brief overview. You'll get these slides, and I'll send the current service plan out or the one that's expiring out with the call notes. But we are transforming the Serve Virginia portfolio to really align with what the state service plan outlines. So in the request for applications process over the last 2 years, we've used the state service plan to guide how do we work with organizations, what organizations are in our portfolio, what are they doing to further volunteerism and service and state service and national service in Virginia. So you'll see we have a couple strategies, a few strategies that we use. If you haven't read it, please read it, because moving forward, this is the guiding principles that we're going to use to work with organizations, to lift them up, to partner with them, etc. Um, this is a picture from the last training, which was an amazing time in August, if you were there. But in fulfilling our state service plan, we've accomplished a lot, and we're not slowing down. So I just wanted to just read a couple of these. I won't read the whole slide. You can see these after. But we've launched a new brand. We were not Serve Virginia when I was here 5.5, 6 years ago. So we've launched a whole new brand, a whole new website, thanks to Sarah. Brought new visibility to AmeriCorps through elected official visits. Big part to Annalise. We do that in a cycle now, and it's very automated. We've hired new project staff to expand and strengthen service and volunteerism. We've been able to bring on like Alex, who's an AmeriCorps alum who worked through our project, Sasha, an AmeriCorps alum who's worked through our project. So that's just really important to what we do here. We've launched our inaugural Virginia Community Engagement Index, which you guys have heard a lot about. You put money in your grants to fund that and to work with that. We expanded our VISTA project. We've established official partnerships with the Virginia Service Foundation. So we're quickly moving in bigger and better directions. So our 25-27 Virginia State Service Plan is coming out soon, right? It's 2025 now. And Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be at the summit that it's launched, I guess.
Yep,
Yes.
that's correct.
Okay, great. So you'll see the three strategies that we have: build a stronger culture of service, volunteerism, and civic engagement, unite a more representative, integrated, and aligned network of partners, and create a more robust resource and support infrastructure. These are our three, goals. And then in the state service plan, when you receive it, when it's launched in May, you'll be able to read about those strategies. So please do that. Do I have any questions before I go on? This is specifically for programs that have members. We've gotten a lot of emails, I say a few, where members are trying to get maybe SNAP benefits or income-based benefits. And with AmeriCorps Vista, there's usually in the AmeriCorps portal a generated letter that says your benefits from AmeriCorps, your living allowance does not count towards SNAP benefits or income-based benefits. And so AmeriCorps State National has now done the same, and we'll send out this letter. This is literally just the letter. This is a memo essentially that says that where is it? Your AmeriCorps payments to participants in AmeriCorps, which is members, shall not be considered income for the purposes of determining eligibility for and the amount of income transfer and in-kind aid furnished under federal or federally assisted programs. So that means SNAP. That means a couple other programs. We can list them. But this letter, if you give this to your members, should be able to help allow them to get benefits. Okay, great. Two more updates from AmeriCorps. There's in January, AmeriCorps State National. This has nothing to do with AmeriCorps Vista or NCCC. They released a final rule that changes the number of term limits that members can have. It's a little bit confusing, but essentially, they can do. AmeriCorps will pay for the living allowances and benefits up to 4 terms, or the aggregate value of however many terms it takes them to get 2 full-time education awards. I won't read the statute because it gets kind of confusing and a little technical. But AmeriCorps has furnished us with a, I guess, what do you call it, like a picture-esque view of what that could look like. These green terms in this picture are the terms that AmeriCorps is going to cover with your grant for members. So living allowance, potential health insurance, the FICA payments, those kinds of things, training, dollars, resources. They can do up to 4 terms or however many terms it takes them to get 2 full-time education awards, whatever is longer. I don't know how many programs that affects on this call. On this picture view, the second half, the ones in yellow are technically AmeriCorps members that your organization is covering off of your AmeriCorps budget, which is really confusing and not recommended. I don't even really know how that would work. So if your members are interested in serving more than 4 terms, that could mean any term. That could mean reduced half-time term. That could mean abbreviated term. It could be full-time. Please talk to the commission because there might be some technical things that we have to work out. eGrants is going to be updated. It does track when members, how many terms of service they do in AmeriCorps State National. I don't think right now it might affect 1 or 2 programs, but usually technically members are not technically, but typically, excuse me, members are serving between 2 and 3 terms, I see. So if you have a question about how many terms or what the term limit is for AmeriCorps members, please contact your program officer. Okay. A few programs have been asking about this, the member training waiver. Right now, members can only do 20% of their time as training. But as we move forward into workforce development, into registered apprenticeship programs, we recognize that there may be more training hours that members need or are available to them. So AmeriCorps has decided that they are going to provide a waiver for those 20% training hours, and a member could potentially do up to 50% training hours. Now, what does that look like? Not 100% sure yet because AmeriCorps, the agency, is still working on the waiver process. You would go, this is for 25, for September, like starting this September. You would come through the commission and you would request the rationale. You would tell us the methodology of why your members would need to have a training waiver, and then we would send it up to the agency and they would give us a waiver or not. So that is forthcoming, and I just want to let everybody know that as you look at, especially with the Youth Mental Health Corps, with the Service to Career Pathways initiatives, that waiver might be necessary for your program next year. And then I just want you guys to save the date that we have 2 training opportunities coming up, and I'll send this out, obviously. We have a recruitment and retention workshop for all program staff. These are during the summit, so it's real incentive to come to the summit, especially if you have funds in your budget that you can use to come to the summit. So Thursday, May 15th, Do Good, Be Good is going to lead that workshop. And then the second one, which is at 2:30, is the Education Award workshop for your members. So it talks about all the different ways that you can use your education award. And it's not just for loans, right? It's not just for going back to school in a traditional way. That's a great session. Everyone always loves it. So more information about how to register for these. And last but not least, and I'll stop talking, I just want to thank everybody, like, sincerely, and I'm just so appreciative. I know that the rest of the team is, and Kathy is as well, that everybody was able to respond in such a timely manner to the executive order guidance. That was just such a quick turnaround, and so like fast and furious that it's like we didn't even really have a time to think about it or talk about it. So this is just an overview of what happened. Obviously January 20th, a lot of executive orders came out, some that would affect our AmeriCorps programs. We received information on Valentine's Day of all days, and then we only had, 5 or 6 days to come into compliance. So I just want to let everybody know that I just like really super, like really appreciate everybody. And I know sometimes like these kinds of things don't necessarily align with our personal values, but it's really important that we continue to be in compliance in order to run AmeriCorps programs. So there isn't obviously there. I don't know if it's obvious to everybody, but there's an injunction related to two DEI related executive orders, and so AmeriCorps is not going to take any action right now. They are right now reviewing all of our amendments, and they are sending them back and approving them over time. So if anybody is worried or they need to amend their application for next year, we are still on open procurement, so we can't necessarily talk about that process right now. But you will definitely have an opportunity in a negotiation process in April to amend your award. Usually, we have you fix things in your budget, or we ask you clarifying questions about your logic model. And so part of that process will also be coming into compliance with the executive orders. Any questions? Okay. I will pass it to Christina. Thank you.
Everyone, thank you. I think we can go to the next slide. I just have one brief slide of kind of updates and reminders. So we've reached the mid-year sort of point of our program year. So I'm going to be sitting in on everyone's program officer check-in this month, just for like the first few minutes to go over where you are financially. So it'd be great if everyone has the opportunity to kind of take a look at your budget, take a look at where you are on your own records and PERs, so we can come to the meeting with the same understanding of where you are and how we can get you on track, or if you are on track. Something I really want to point out to everyone is to please check your match percentages. Everyone is required to meet their match requirement. If you are a new program, a planning grant, that would be 24%. So just taking a look at that. So we, again, come to the meeting with the same understanding. And if you are planning to do any budget modifications for the rest of the year, this would be a great opportunity to kind of talk that through. So please, again, if you could just come prepared with questions or thoughts. As Sam just mentioned, we are in an open procurement, so I can't really address any questions that you might have about your next year's budget or the budget that you submitted with your application. I can, of course, answer general questions, but that would be more during a negotiations process. So this is really just about this year's budget. So that's it for me.
Thank you,
Cool.
Christina.
As everyone already heard from Samantha, I'm really appreciative of anyone who has posted about AmeriCorps Week. If you are catching up still due to daylight savings time or anything else, there's a lot going on, admittedly. AmeriCorps Week kicked off on Sunday and will run through Saturday. And at Serve Virginia, we are doing a campaign all week long of social media stories and blog posts about AmeriCorps members across Virginia, including state programs as well as NCCC and Vistas. And so I encourage you all to take a look at our social media this week and enjoy the inspiring stories that are there. But mostly, I would like to ask all of you all to encourage your if you do social media or if you have a comms person who does social media, to encourage that person to tag us in any posts that you're doing for AmeriCorps Week, and we will happily reshare. We're really just trying to kind of gin up as much excitement as we can and get as many voices and as many great stories of service shared across the state this week. There's also a proclamation that was made by the governor acknowledging this as AmeriCorps Week, and other statewide elected official outreach that we're doing to communicate the impact of AmeriCorps across the Commonwealth as well. But again, just please be sure to tag us. Hope that you check out the social media and read some of the stories. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll put more details in the chat, and then I will also tag it over to Alex, who can talk about the AmeriCorps Week events that will be coming up tomorrow.
I think I've got those on the alumni slide, so I'll cover that there. But thank you for the good setup, Sarah. So next, as Samantha mentioned, our volunteerism summit is coming up in May on the 14th and 15th. It will be virtual, so easy to join in, call in from anywhere. We're really excited about our two keynote speakers, Dr. Akila Watkins from Independent Sector and Manu Meal from Bridge USA, both people who I think can really speak to a lot of the challenges that the nonprofit sector and that individual volunteers and community members are facing right now, and give us some guidance on, how to move forward, how to think through all of that. I really want to make sure everyone knows the summit is an event that is for you all. It's something that all the information is going to be relevant for your staff, both the ones working on the AmeriCorps programs and in other parts of your organization. So we really do encourage you to register and attend. We'll have those specific sessions for AmeriCorps, so at the very least, make sure you're signing up so that you're benefiting from those. And then in addition to that, we'll have a separate AmeriCorps convening. You can go to the next slide, and I think I've got some more information there. So our workshop blocks are going to follow the pattern of our SERV framework. So our goal here was to make sure that we're covering content related to the entire spectrum of volunteerism and community service. We're going to be covering things like employee volunteering and school-based volunteering, the general, volunteer managers 101, but then a number of workshops are also going to cover topics like nonprofit advocacy, and how to get volunteers involved in doing that kind of public policy work. So we also do have an AmeriCorps specific convening on the afternoon of the first day, where we're going to have conversations directly related to AmeriCorps, have some workshops that'll be talking about AmeriCorps work that's happening in Virginia. We'll have a panel of our planning grants that I'll be working with to share kind of what their decision-making process has been like, which I think should be really insightful for everyone. Tickets at this point are $90 for individuals, $85 if you're registering as a group. However, it is free for members. So this is a great professional development opportunity for your members. Please send them. It's free. And there's also a discount for AmeriCorps program staff, which is all of you, of 50%. We'll send those codes out in the follow-ups so that you have access to them. But again, we want you to be able to attend this event and to benefit from the resources there. Sarah, anything I'm missing on the summit?
Oh, trying to unmute there. No, everything sounded good. I put a link in the chat if you want to explore the full lineup of speakers that we've announced so far, and just be aware that there are other workshops and presenters that we'll be announcing soon. So if you're excited by what's already there, there will be even more.
Great. On to AmeriCorps alumni then. So, thank you to those of you who have been supporting this, who have been in touch. I know this has been an ongoing conversation. We did an AmeriCorps alumni engagement survey just a few months ago, and got some really good insights, which I wanted to share with the whole group. First off, we asked about availability, heard that alumni are primarily available on weekends and weekdays outside of work hours, though some folks were available during the workday as well. When it comes to communications, emails were the preference. We asked about social media, about LinkedIn. People said, nope, don't put us in a big alumni Facebook group. We don't want it. And so that's a good note for those of you who are engaging with alumni in your own programs. As for location, we did get a good spread of responses from across the state. We had around 70 responses to this survey overall. Richmond was the most selected, most central. Folks about an hour away tended to say, yeah, I'm in Charlottesville, but I could show up for something in Richmond as well. There were also strong responses for the Northern Virginia area, Fredericksburg, Charlottesville, Williamsburg, and Roanoke. So the message there is wherever you are in the state, there's an alumni network that you can tap into, and that we've got contacts that we can send your way, even if they aren't connected to you already. And activities, what do alumni want? They want us to be providing professional development, organizing group volunteer events, and providing opportunities to serve on boards. So those are a lot of the things we'll be organizing going forward. So what are we doing with that information? First off, we have some great events happening this week during AmeriCorps Week. We have a professional development event tomorrow, Wednesday the 12th, from 3 to 4 p.m. Leadership Metro Richmond is going to be putting this on. It's going to be kind of a nonprofit board service 101, helping people to understand what it means to serve on a board, what the requirements are, and how to get started. Again, we heard that this is very, a high topic of interest for a lot of alumni. I also want to highlight that this is free and something that a lot of AmeriCorps members and perhaps a lot of you all could benefit from as well. So I'll put the registration links to this in the chat following, unless Sarah has beat me to it already. And please, please, please share. I'm asking that you share this with members, that you look at it yourself. Professional development is hard to come by. This is something that is being provided pro bono by an organization that usually charges for events. So do sign up for this. We want a good, strong showing, and we want to make sure that the organization that goes into this really benefits as many people in our AmeriCorps network as possible. Next, we have a group volunteering event happening in the evening at the Community Foundation. We're going to be doing some DIY, putting together some breakfast kits for a local housing shelter. So if you're in the Richmond area and you want to join for this, would love to have as many people as are available come through. You're welcome to bring friends and family, get them exposed to the culture of service and volunteerism. That's what this is all about. A couple of the other things that I'll be in touch with you all on more going forward. We're really working on spinning up an AmeriCorps Ambassadors program. There are only so many of us Serve Virginia staff to cover things like outreach events at schools and community fairs, but we want to make sure that information on AmeriCorps is in all of those spaces. We've done a lot of work cultivating our relationship with school counselors over the years, and that has resulted in maybe more requests to table for AmeriCorps than we can necessarily get to ourselves. We'll be looking for ways to have alumni support this and also to have members support this as well. Shout out to the College Advising Corps, who are kind of early adopters of this. We have a college advisor who's going to be tabling at a career fair here in the Richmond area with me on Thursday as well. So this is a partnership we want to expand. We want to make it productive for you all as well. And this is going to be how we feed into that statewide awareness that boosts recruitment and hopefully overall support for your programs. Next, our AmeriFamily newsletter launched on Friday. Hopefully you all opened it, read it. Give some claps in the chat here for Sarah, who did a great job bringing all of that together. We think that's going to be a really great way to get regular information about AmeriCorps to everyone. And we're really excited about having that as a method of communication going forward. So whenever that shows up in your inbox, please open it, read through. Again, it will only have things that help you. Lastly, my request for you all that I will certainly be following up on, we want to be able to create a database of our AmeriCorps alumni in Virginia that lasts beyond any individual program, beyond anything that's inconsistent at the federal level. We need something that really works for Virginia and is lasting here and can be used across everyone. So my request for those of you who currently have some kind of alumni tracking system on your own is to share with me what you have. And what I'll be doing on my end is making sure that that information, that those folks get registered on any newsletters, are receiving any of the opportunities that we put out. And that in the long term, that's ideally a database that we'll be able to share back with everyone in the portfolio as well. So rather than having to be like, hey, Alex, I'd like to, find 10 alumni in my area, you should be able to search and find that easily. This is long-term goals, but for starters, we just need to be able to gather that information. So for those of you who have alumni lists of your own, please, please, please share those with me, and we'll work on making that something that continues to benefit everyone. I think that's all I've got on that.
Can I just say one quick thing about that last point? The Serve Virginia has access to all members who've served back like to the 90s in e-grants because we're the prime. But if you guys are doing something that's really targeted, because we don't want to just like email blast everybody, it's just not a good strategy. And so if you've collected information on your folks who have served, even in the past 5 years, who have said, I really want to stay connected to AmeriCorps, right? I really want to be doing something. AmeriCorps is always on the chopping block when it comes to budget stuff. We don't even have a budget yet for formula or, AmeriCorps in general. They don't have a budget. And so Serve Virginia staff is paid federally. We can't really do, lobbying. There's a real opportunity for alum who said, I specifically want to stay engaged, whether it's with your organization or the national service movement in general. And so if you're able to share that with Alex, collective action really, I think, makes a difference in a lot of ways. So I just want to push for that because we have access to everybody, but it's such a hit or miss, and it's really a exercise in futility. So I really appreciate all that work, Alex. Thank you.
Oh, and I went over all of these already. I know my talking points too well, apparently.
Great. Okay, I think that's really it. Like, I just thank you, everybody. I want to leave it open for thoughts and questions. So if you have a question about what we went over it pretty quickly. I mean, it's only a half hour. Or if you have a separate question that would be helpful for the whole group, this is open time for the portfolio for you guys to ask any questions. Pablo, you have your raised hand.
Yes, thank you, Samantha. Very, very useful information. Can you please repeat the what you mentioned about amendments for the next year contract? Can you please repeat the timing that you are expecting? I was confused about, is this the time to call you to discuss that, or we should wait until April? So I got confused about that. If you can repeat that, I will
Absolutely,
appreciate.
sure.
Thank you.
So applications are in. And this month, from now until the end of March, the evaluation panel is going to be reviewing everybody's application, and they're going to be scoring them. So March is for scoring your applications. And once the evaluation panel gives the staff basically its recommendations on whether or not your program should be funded or not, or funded with limitations or whatever they do, their process, they are going to send to us a list of organizations that should be funded, that scored well. And then in April, we're at the conference, I think the first week of April, but mid-April, we're going to be sending out emails to any program that is going to potentially be funded for a negotiation. And during that 2 to 3 week period, that's when we'll have the opportunity to edit and amend your applications for FY25. The portfolio, our prime, is due to AmeriCorps June 13th, which is later than it has been in like the past 2 or 3 years. Usually it's due mid-May. So we do have an opportunity a little bit longer to amend and look at your applications during that negotiation process, which is great. But, and this is probably information you probably don't need, the Governor's Advisory Board does vote on our submission to AmeriCorps, and they do that in May. So to answer your question directly, Pablo, mid-April through the end of April, 2 to 3 week period will be our time to amend your budgets, to amend any compliance concerns, to look at your logic model, your performance measures, etc. Cool, thank you. Melody.
Thank you for such an informative time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, totally. I signed up for that nonprofit board thing tomorrow already. I hope this is useful for other people. I've had conflict come up. Is it going to be recorded and shared later?
You can check with the workshop presenter on that. I would say off the bat, again, since they are providing this pro bono, we likely won't be able to record it or just only share it in a limited fashion, but I will check on that.
Thanks, Alex.
It's a great
Yeah, no
question,
problem.
Melanie. Was there a question in the chat from Grace?
Yes, I had a question. I think it was about on slide 11 about the benefits. Could you just go over that a little bit more in detail? And I'm also curious if that impacts taxes taken out of the AmeriCorps, the members' living allowance, if that makes a difference with that.
Great question. So in the terms and conditions, so when it comes to taxes, in the terms and conditions, you have to take out federal taxes. And then in your budget, we make you budget for FICA, so your organization is reimbursed for those costs, unless you count it as match. So when it comes to taxes, this benefits letter from ASN does not impact that, if that makes sense. Mostly this is for SNAP benefits, and then any like welfare type of benefits or Social Security benefits. Does anyone have experience with what I'm discussing? I know that some folks have had members who went to a DSS office. It's crazy because we're in DSS, right? And they had an issue with members getting their full amount of benefits because they counted the AmeriCorps income as income and said you're making too much for your household. And so this letter is basically an income disregard letter for those my AmeriCorps living allowance payments. Dina, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, so for us, the letter has been helpful for members in housing and SNAP benefits. It does still count as income when it comes to Social Security or disability, just so you're aware.
That's really helpful. Thank you. Dina, Grace, does that answer your question? And we can talk offline to talk about different scenarios as well.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else have their hand raised, or can someone, maybe Christina or Sarah, read a question from the chat if there is any?
Sure, I can, there's a question from Arlene. It says, how much wiggle room do we have for budget modification? For example, due to executive order, we scrapped a couple of trainings. Can we move funds to other budget lines or, for example, to salaries, consulting, equipment, and or supplies? Well, I can hand it over to Sam, but I think I can say as well that we can definitely talk in our meeting with your program officer about any budget modifications. I would say generally we wouldn't move budget line items to salaries or equipment, but we can certainly discuss that. But I would say generally, especially not equipment, we would generally not do that. But yeah, if you have some questions, you can definitely bring those to our meeting and we can talk more in depth. Sam, anything I missed?
No, that's great. Thank you, Christina. I appreciate that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alex, you already answered in the chat. So yes, Alex also answered in the chat. Let's see, we do have a comment from Enya at UVA, I believe. So income disregard letters have been critical for many of our members applying for SNAP. Thank you for sharing this updated memo. So just an FYI. I don't see any other questions in the chat right now.
Okay. I think we used to like model the income disregard letter after the one that was generated through Vista, or you've just cited, the service laws and rules and CFR, but this is an official one that's updated. So appreciate noting the utility of that. Are there any other questions for the good of the order about anything, literally anything? We're together so few times, so it's nice to get any questions off the dome. Oh.
I just want to say thank you for your swift and good response with all the executive orders. Your communication with getting information out on that was very much appreciated.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a hard, rough time, I'm sure, for everybody at your organizations as well. It's a real uncertain time, and who knows if there's going to be more executive orders that come down the pipeline. So we just, do the best we can, right? That's all we can do. So I appreciate that. All right. Well, super excited for Erin to get started and help supporting you all. Super excited to look over everybody's applications for FY25. Super excited to move the new state service plan along. Yeah, just super excited. So I hope everybody has a great day. And I'll send out a follow-up with this recording and any additional resources that we named in the slides. And we'll be in touch. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.